Johnny McMahon of World Poker Tour, the vice president of WPT Enterprises, and of course the studios there, is with us. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at Fox Sports Radio, and this will give us an opportunity to dive into the TV poker world with a network executive, a guy who has had his pulse and his fingerprints over the business for more than 20 years. A whole lot of experience, a whole lot of stories, and a whole lot of fun is about to be had. And let's start here. Johnny, what is it about World Poker Tour and your TV side of things and putting the productions together that's the most endorphin producing element of your responsibilities?
Well, and thanks for having me on, Brian. I really appreciate it. I I consider our show, World Poker Tour, the Rolls Royce of poker programming. We've been around for 18 seasons. We've produced hundreds of hours of incredible poker programming. Our library is incredibly vast with uh, players old and new, and it's we are really a history of poker, and as poker has grown, we've grown with it and been super successful at it. And from the production point of view, uh, I've got a team of just incredible producers, a credible post production department of editors and graphic artists, and people smarter than me that know how to put this show together to make it great. And they're super talented. They know poker very well. They love it. They understand it really well. They understand a lot of the players, and the players know our producers too. And so I think if you encompass all that together, the relationships, the vast knowledge of poker, how we produce a TV show that airs on the Sinclair broadcast networks and everywhere else around the world that we try to get on, um, it just makes our show really, really special that way. And I put it up against a lot of programming. And the fact we've been around for 18 years and keep on going, it's just amazing. It shows um, our depth of keeping a show uh, relevant, and it just shows the power of, I consider it a sport. You know, we're on sports broadcast stations around the world, and I think myself, along with a lot of people, see it as a sport. It complements other sports, so that's why we do so well on other sports networks and platforms alike.
Yeah, I have no doubt that everybody that will be listening to this has at one point been flipping through the channels, and we've all seen World Poker Tour on. Like you said, it's with Sinclair and a lot of those Fox regional sports networks that pick up the broadcasts with World Poker Tour. So you have that agreement with Fox. How has that given you the extra visibility that has enabled you to be that Rolls Royce of production in the poker world and just built up your product even more and given it so much more attention?
Um, yeah, it's it goes back to relationships with having relationships with networks, and we've been with Fox for a long time, and actually recently, Fox sold the regional sports networks, and now
Right.
Sinclair owns them, and so we're on the Sinclair sports networks. But we always had a relationship with Fox. It's the same uh, uh, it's the same affiliates in the regionals we're working with. We know them personally, uh, which now is going to be transitioned to Bally Sports Network, and so they all, even when if I call, the group in Detroit who airs our our show, and check in with them and see how everything's doing, they love our programming. And we, again, it goes back to complementing other sports that are local to that place. So if you take Detroit, for instance, they air the Red Wings games and the Pistons games. And after those games are over, boom, they air World Poker Tour. and it stays sticky that way. We stay relevant because we're almost like a local TV show in that specific area. And we're very versatile. Well, we will have our talent do call outs to those local affiliates we work with. Hey, you're watching World Poker Tour on Sinclair Broadcasting, or Sinclair Detroit, or Bally Sports, which we'll probably start doing. So I think the fact that we own and control our show, that we can do a lot with it, and no one really has to. There's no other decision makers of how World Poker Tour is distributed, where it airs, except for the people inside the company of World Poker Tour. So myself, along with the CEO, Adam Plisko, we decide where the show's going to air. We make the deals directly with the broadcasters networks, the OTT platforms. The AVOD's a big deal right now. We've been on it for the last 7 years, but in the last 2 years, it's just grown exponentially. But we were always trying to be the first, and our show was one of the first on a lot of these platforms that are up now. Sinclair's Stir platform, Pluto TV, Vizio, Samsung TV. We're on all these other multiple platforms because our belief is to be everywhere, and people consume content in various ways, and some people will prefer watching programming on Pluto TV versus on Samsung TV, and so why not be on both? So we can attract the most viewer who is hungry for our content.
We're joined by Johnny McMahon with World Poker Tour, the vice president of WPT Studios. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at FSR. What has been in the past the hardest production to put on based upon logistics for taping a World Poker Tour event that you look at as a badge of pride? Like, we were able to do that under these circumstances, and it's sort of like a memento, a keepsake that you can always say, wow, that was really cool.
We had at one time, it was more recent. It was pretty much a year or two into when I was working at World Poker Tour and running the production. We had two shows. We had World Poker Tour, and then we had another show called WPT Alpha 8, and Alpha 8 aired on when Fox Sports 2 started. We aired on Fox Sports 2. And so we did 3 seasons of that, and at that one time, we were in the Caribbean. So World Poker Tour, we travel around the world to do TV shows. And so we were in the Caribbean on St. Kitts and St. Martin at the same time. And I had 2 sets to deliver that I trucked from LA to Miami, and then got them on the boats and barges and send them off to each island.
Oh my gosh.
And we even had to put the forklifts on the boats because the island didn't have forklifts. So it was just, I guess, a controlled chaos, if you want to put it that way, to make sure we got 2 sets to 2 different locations at the same time in Miami, and separated our crew too, because with 18 years of doing a TV show, you got crews who have been with us for practically 18 years. And, that's a family thing. They're part of the production, and where we go, they go. And so we were separating the crew, and, the great thing about our crew is that everybody will do everything. I'll carry those camera cases. I'll move the lights. I'll do, I'll drive the boat if it takes it that.
I love it.
So everybody is not shy about saying, hey, that's not my job. And I think that's where we get lucky with crew and producers and just the team in general, that everybody's like, let's just get it done. And we put a lot of time and effort, and that was probably a big coordination to carry out that we successfully did, and it all worked out. And the boats didn't sink or there weren't any storms. It took a lot of work, but we got that done. That was probably one of the most memorable from when I've been at World Poker Tour
Yeah.
of getting something taken care of. And there's tons of those other stories. I think that's just one that comes to top of mind of a good accomplishment for the company.
I think that a story like that deserves to be made into a documentary. I could see that easily, a behind the scenes look, and hopefully they've got some footage of you driving the boat. I'd love to see that. And
Yeah,
all right,
I was
let's.
being facetious. I wasn't. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For those who are a fan of your work, also certainly know the role that your father played in your life, and what a beloved member of entertainment he was. How do you look at him as someone that you're following in his footsteps in TV, being an executive and working on shows, but also creating your own identity and creating your own path at the same time?
Well, first of all, if I could have half my dad's reputation in this industry, I'm probably doing okay. Um, my pop was instrumental in just I guess leading the way of what it's like to be um, a, a good executive, not being um, not being cutthroat, working with people, not against people, helping people out when they need help. And I believe my dad did a lot of that in the industry. And you get calls if my dad passed away probably about a year and a half ago. And you get those calls like, "Hey, your dad helped me do this. Your dad
Oh,
recommended me for this. Your dad did." So that was awesome. And he did a lot of cool things, and he uh, he started out in Chicago in sales, selling this old black and white show called Home Run Derby, uh, and then moved on from there and ended up in LA in the late '60s, being general manager of KABC Los Angeles, and then not too long after that, he got hired by NBC corporate to be head of West Coast programming for NBC, and shows like Different Strokes, Facts of Life, Sanford and Son, um, Rockford Files, all those shows he got on the air, and then he ended up running Johnny Carson's company, Carson Productions, and he was best friends with Johnny. Carson used to come to my house and my parents' house and knock on a door just to get out, and have dinner, and that happened from time to time, and they were really good friends. And I think from the outside, people go, "Oh my God, that's incredible! It's so cool." But I mean, I think that was kind of normal. But we had a normal house. We're just my dad's from Chicago. It's Midwest. It's do your job, pick up your paycheck, and go home to your family. And by all means, he had a great time in the entertainment industry, um, enjoying everything and being around big people, major stars, and all of that. But I guess for someone like me, it was normal. But he always just said, hold your head up high, don't pretend you're anybody else but yourself, and just do a good job and work hard. And that's what he did, and that's what I try to do is just enjoy what I do and work hard, and everything comes your way. You know, um, I think that's kind of the philosophy I took from him, uh, uh, being in this business and basically being born and raised in this business. And it's been great. And I was able to learn a lot. I've been in the movie business. I've been in television production. I've been in television development, movies made for television, reality, digital programming. I just felt like I wanted to learn everything in this industry, and I still learn. the whole distribution, uh, advertising VOD, subscription VOD, MVPD distribution business is growing, and I feel like we jumped into it early, which was fortunate
Okay.
for World Poker Tour. I'm
Hmm.
not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world. We just kind of fell into it, and
Sure.
it's been paying off for us great, um, and expanding our brand worldwide in terms of content and people saying, "Oh yeah, I see World Poker Tour." Um, so I I just love doing new things or finding out something's coming up in this industry, and I'll try to jump on it or want to be a part of it, or educate myself more about it, just to be an overall knowledgeable executive in this industry.
One of the things that you've been educating yourself a lot with, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger deal, is the world of esports, and how not only are people enjoying it from a broadcast perspective, but the numbers are growing. People can wager on it. What's it been like to tap into that space and figure out how to make things work from a business standpoint in the esports realm as well?
Yeah, and currently we're owned by a esports company called
That's
Allied
right. Yeah.
Esports, and that's been great. And I've played games, but I'm not a full fledged gamer. It's definitely been an education. I think it's an interesting business that's still ongoing, and people are trying to figure it out. Um, it's the content side of things that I look at on the esports side, because I'm fortunate with World Poker Tour. We own and control it. It is ours. I don't have to get approval from anybody else. But when you
Sure.
hold an esports event, you work with publishers, EA Games, Riot, those guys who own the publishing rights to that game.
Sure.
And so from a distribution standpoint, or getting it on air, the easiest thing right now currently is to get it on Twitch, and you hold an event, and it's fun. You've got kids and young adults and everything playing these games, and it's it's mind blowing crazy. Like the broadcasters that I've talked to and how they call the play by play on some of those games, like World World of
Yeah.
Warcraft. I mean, it is so quick. I have no clue what's going on, but they do, and they try to explain it right. They try to explain it for the novice who doesn't know much about it, or to the expert who does. And I think the interesting thing about it is it's still growing. I think people are trying to grasp uh, how to monetize it, because the publishing rights to the games, I mean, they make a ton of money, but from a network perspective or a content creator perspective, the getting the content out to multiple platforms and getting approval from the publishers is another discussion that needs to be had, um, to make that happen. And there are platforms like basically Twitch that kind of, wouldn't say have a monopoly, but that's where you go to watch the the esports content, or a newly formed Ben, which is a new network, and Allied Esports, which has events at an esports arena that we own and control at the Luxor. They have events weekly, and they stream those events. And actually, it's community-based gaming. And actually, I think that's the way to go. Is it's almost like us airing World Poker Tour in different communities, like Detroit and San Francisco and Chicago and Miami. We air in different communities, if you want to
Sure.
call it about it, if you want to think about it. And Allied Esports has these community events that are pretty interesting, where they're doing Mario Kart, or um, different types of games, and they're actually, it's been very successful for them. They're getting viewers on Twitch with that. So um, it's a it, it's still a story that needs to be figured out, from a distribution and the content monetization aspect. It's there. I think just different networks are trying to figure it out, and the big ones like the NBC Sports, CBS Sports, and ESPNs of the world are know there's something there. We all do. I mean, I think I hear that esports might become an Olympic sport soon. So I mean,
Wow.
it's not going away. I mean, I hear rumblings about that. It's not going away. So, but there is also, like you said, Brian, there is a betting side to it, and
Sure.
I know Allied is associated with a betting platform for esports, and that's growth too. That's another way of monetizing. So as sports betting grows, which if you look in the paper almost or online every day, with Bally Sports being
Hmm.
the name for all the now Sinclair regional sports networks. Bally has the naming rights for that for 10 years, sports betting. So that's a huge growth, and that's the new big word is sports betting, and the states are going to start approving it. I think Michigan just passed those laws a couple months ago, so Michigan's in there along with Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Nevada, and I could see more and more states starting to allow sports betting, you know, and I could see probably 5, 6 more states approving it this year.
Johnny McMahon is with us with World Poker Tour. I'm Bryan Fenley, an anchor at FSR. If there's anybody that can figure all this out, it's you. I know you've spent so much time processing the wave of the future in these certain entities, whether it's the wagering thing, it's with esports, or it's the poker, and it's how to put together the most cutting edge product on television. Those are some of the many places that you thrive. And for those many, as we've said, they see you in this light. But I think what also needs to be heralded as well is just the work of you, but also the work of your wife, and why right now, why would you say she's a superhero?
Oh well, she's definitely a superhero because my wife works as a nurse and at a hospital, and I think when COVID hit in March of 2019 or 2020, it was a scary time. My wife was in there working on COVID patients, lungs and heart that had lung and heart issues, and you're in there in your full Papper outfit. It looks like a full-on scuba tank type dealio, and she's working on COVID patients. So um, you know, us in the entertainment business are, we do a job, and it's fairly safe. I mean, unless you're a stuntman or something, but
Yeah.
we have frontline workers like nurses and doctors and police officers and firefighters taking care of people who need help. And my wife was one of those people who've been helping, and her and everybody else who works in the medical or safety, police, firefighters are heroes, and they're the ones who go at it every day, leaving their house, saying bye to their family or loved ones, and going to work, and not sure if they're going to contract the virus. For people like us, we can get it too, but they're literally jumping into it. They know it's there.
Yeah.
It is in that hospital room. It is in that surgical room. It is there for them, and so they are as safe as possible. And fortunately, my wife got the shot a few weeks ago. Got her last shot, I think, over a month ago. And so it puts a like anything. I
Yeah.
mean, it gives you a little bit of more solace
Mhm.
to go back to work and to do your job. And you know, hopefully everybody else gets vaccinated. And for me, I think the front line workers are first in line, which it seems like
Sure.
it's what they're doing. And then we can all be next. It's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're making progress, no question, and it's it's really special to hear that touching tribute about your wife, because I think that people need to understand that's a huge part of your story, obviously. And my final question for you, speaking of your family, I saw you tweet this out, and I wanted to wrap this up on an uplifting note. You mentioned that your daughter just got into grad school at Northwestern.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
how proud of a dad are you? Because she's sort of doing the same, if I'm not mistaken, working in entertainment, television, and all that, going down that realm. To see her do that, to see her do it at the school where she's going now for grad school, where your dad went, like, what does that do, like, for just your excitement and your joy and your pride to see it all kind of
Yeah,
come full
yeah, no,
circle?
it's super exciting, and my dad, as I said, is from Chicago, and went to school and got drafted into Korea and served into Korea and won two Bronze Stars, and went got on the GI Bill and ended up at Northwestern. And so I spent a lot of summers in Chicago. I used to go to Chicago a lot, and my dad and I would go to Northwestern football games.
Wow.
Not a lot, but we went to a handful, especially when I was out of college and
Mhm.
both in LA. It's like, hey, you want to go football? And so we go to Northwestern to go see a football game. I'd meet some of his old buddies, his college buddies and stuff, and we park before the games, and it's 10 degrees out and drinking Bloody Marys and hanging out with those
Yeah.
guys, which was fun. So, Northwestern's been a school that obviously my dad went to and had so much pride in, and loved the school. And Erin, my daughter, getting into the Medill um, School for Journalism with a sports focus is amazing. And she's always liked sports. She used to play volleyball in high school, and then actually switched to a production class and started live streaming the high school sports games at our local high school. And she just kind of got that itch, and I didn't force it on her.
Oh,
I didn't force the entertainment business on her either, but she also saw her grandfather a lot too, and saw what he did and how he was enthusiastic of sports. We always loved sports. I think I was only, we used to have tickets to hockey. I used to have season tickets to the Kings at the
mhm.
Fabulous Forum, the hockey, because my dad loved hockey, and so we
Wow.
used to do that, and we always liked sports, and Aaron kind of got a fascination about it, and has always liked it, and so we'll see. It's going to be a challenge going to that school. It's a tough school, and but I think she'll do great, and she worked hard to get there. So congratulations on her, and the best we can do as parents is support her and cheerlead her, and she's got to make it work for herself too, and accomplish what she's done so far, and keep that going. But either way, we're proud of her. I mean, she could have chosen anything in life, and she didn't have to choose it. Sometimes you go to college and really aren't sure what you want
Yeah.
to do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But she had to focus, and that's what she's doing. And we're really really excited for her, and I think it's a great opportunity, and it's a great school.
And I find it just so neat that she seems to be carrying her grandfather's legacy with her, and that's part of her motivation and inspiration for
Hmm.
tapping into this business. Like you said, you didn't put any pressure on her, that she's self-made, she's put in the work, and she is got to be, beaming with pride, knowing that her grandfather went to that place, and the effect he had in television, and how she is well on her way. Johnny, thank you so much. This was so much fun diving into your life and looking at your work with World Poker Tour. I'm Bryan Fenley with FSR. Johnny McMahon, thank you so much. This was a blast.
Thanks for the time, Brian. Appreciate it.